So be loose, have
And
fun.
then,
Go ahead.
yeah. So I'll just wait for your cue as to when we start.
Yep, you'll hear. I'm not sure. Sometimes I'm not sure if people can hear Sal when he gives
Yep,
me
hello.
my times, but no,
Let's say 30 seconds.
Okay.
yeah, you be right there.
1 second, though. Alright, I am back.
Toward improved health and wellness for the use of therapeutic bodywork, Reiki energy healing, or hypnosis. The Spirit Within Massage and Hypnosis Clinic is
So you're gonna talk about the football stuff you did at all today?
No. We're football is this week coming up. I'll be in Orlando.
Alright, Super Bowl.
Hypnosis.com to see all services offered by Dr. Judy. For a free
That was a
personal
week early.
consultation, please call Dr. Judy D at 219-326.
Hey Renee, Sal's the one who whips us into shape. It's pretty cool.
326-13.
Okay, cool. Great.
We're starting in about a minute.
You know, I see. Is Fiona around you?
She's not. I just left. I came into my office just because I didn't know how much she would be curious about it. Maybe it would have been fun to have been at home and have her chime in, but I'm actually in my office now.
She is so powerful. You know that. You've always had a very strong.
I do know that. Yep. Yep. She is an amazing little being. There's no doubt about it.
Are you traveling anymore? Any soon here, Renee?
Not any. The next place I'm going to DC in April. Well, might be the last weekend of April, first weekend of May. So that's my next planned trip anyway.
Thanks, Sal. I heard you.
No problem. Alright, 10 seconds. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and we are live.
Welcome to Bridges. I'm your host, Dr. Paul, and exciting show always. And I like to wish people back from their long week or weekend, and I haven't heard from you in a long time, and I'd like to thank you for all your comments and your emails that you give me throughout the week. Remember, Bridges is about getting you from here to there. And from getting you here to there is to, one, you must understand, and it's to understand what you know, and then to go from that to an action. And that's what Bridges is. And that's why I'm so happy to have my guests and my friends and family all throughout Bridges. It's because it helps facilitate us through the many things that we think we know to a lot of things we understand. And today's bridge, as we always know, I like to associate a bridge with each show, and there's so many bridges out there. But today is a friendship bridge. It's actually called a friendship bridge. It's the only bridge that is that goes across from Thailand to Laos, and it goes from the Mekong River. And I guess sometimes people ask me why I pick a bridge and how do I come up with a bridge. I think it has a lot to do with my guest, and this is a dear friend of mine who we've been friends for a little bit. I'm not going to tell us our ages, but we've been friends for a little bit, and we've really connected through the heartstrings. And I'd just like to welcome Miss Renae. Renae, come on to Bridges.
Hello. Nice to chat with you again, Dr. Paul. It has been a while since we chatted, but we do go way back, so it's great to visit with you today.
And I always like to associate with the Human Rights Charter. And the Human Rights Charter today is Charter number 13. It's the freedom to move. And again, we have human rights because we are born. And on today, it's a special day. Like all days are special. I really think all days are special. But today is a celebration of Martin Luther King's. And if we're going to celebrate today's Martin Luther King, I did a podcast earlier about what are you going to remember about today? What are you going to remember about what he brought to your life? And today is the freedom to move, to be a human being, to move to be the light of this world. Because if we don't practice being what we can be, then we lose who we are. And Miss Renae, just tell people on Bridges about what you do, who you are, and then we'll go in and because once we get chatting, it's like chatty Cathy. So we'll just keep going. But introduce yourself, Miss Renae.
I'd be happy to. Thank you. So my name is Dr. Renae Reinardy. I am a licensed psychologist in Fargo, North Dakota, and I specialize in Fargo, where it feels like about 3 below right now outside. So, but I braved the frigid temperatures to come into my office to visit with you and your fantastic listeners today. So thank you for that. So I do get the privilege to work with people in helping them overcome anxieties with struggles that they're having in their life, and different types of anxieties, mostly obsessive compulsive disorder, compulsive hair pulling, skin picking, hoarding, tic disorders, including Tourette's. So those are the clinical kind of areas of my specialty, which I've loved doing for about 20 years. I have a private practice and also travel around giving talks across the country, which I also enjoy very much. So that's one part of my life.
You're a mom.
A company called Courage Critters.
Yeah, but you're a mom.
So and that's what I was saving is the best for last. So that I have these professional roles, but ultimately, I think the biggest title that I hold is being a mom to a very unique and wonderful 7-year-old girl named Fiona. So who's just an amazing child who Dr. Paul has had the chance to meet as well.
So I mean, with you and your husband, he's an amazing man. I love Chad so much, and you guys are just fantastic. And of course, we've known each other for a very long time. But let me ask you this: being a mom and even being in the professional role that you are, it was tough to see the lighted child that you had. Now, I want to talk about that. I think that's important because I think so many people have these children nowadays and they don't see their gifted child within the child. And you also had trouble with that. So let's help people cross that bridge because I think instead of saying my child is something wrong, I think there's a gift in your child that we have to learn how to see.
Absolutely. And I think that's something that I've learned being a mom and something, being a psychologist too, is that we're so quick to look at anything different as being wrong instead of embracing difference, anything that's different about us or trying to understand what that might be. And I think that is such a unique thing. And I think it's difficult because we so often, I've been sitting in working in my office today, so I'm so much in office mode of like, this is what the appropriate framework are, right? So we do that with ourselves. We kind of put ourselves into these little boxes, and we tend to do that with the people in our lives too, especially our children, because why? Because we're fearful, right? So we don't want them to have any struggles. We don't want them to have any obstacles. And so there's this pressure oftentimes to conform, to be, quote unquote, normal, whatever that is, right? And so when you do notice some of these differences, it is something that it takes a lot.
So
even me as a psychologist, when I started to notice differences in my daughter too, to step outside of that closed mindset and to open up to, what do we really have here? How do I appreciate this?
So, Ms. Renae, let me ask you this, because there's so many parents and moms and fathers and who are caretakers of these children or these light children, and I did your professionalism help you see it, or did it block a little bit of it? Or because I think some parents are like, I don't have what Renae has, and how am I supposed to recognize it? So is that a different, like, how, you understand what I'm trying to go with this, Renae, or?
Yeah, I think it kind of went both ways, honestly. So I think my professionalism, my daughter started to have some tics and some other types of symptoms. And just, your average childhood stuff, fears and phobias and things like that. And, and then you look at this, things like that were what we tend to hyper-focus on. But when I have this very powerful child.
You do. You really do.
We're quick. So we're quick to put a label on that, or to try to understand that ourselves. And being a clinician, I think it both helped and hindered a bit. So it helped to know that, okay, this is who she is. This isn't something that I need to be clinically worried about. But it also hindered that I was kind of on the lookout, trying to conceptualize, trying to understand. And Dr. Paul, you know me well, so the cognitive part of my brain tends to take over. It has been a block.
Well, hold on. I don't want you to run over that because when people talk about cognitive takeover, she's atypical. Miss Renae is an atypical. If it's a square, it's a square. There is no rounded edges.
That's right.
That's all it is. But
30 seconds.
But the plus thing is, before we continue on, we're about ready to take a break, and I just want to let people to know you're listening to Dr. Renae Reinardy, and we're on Bridges on the BBM Global Network. Remember, you can always catch us on Iheart and iTunes. The podcast comes out about Thursday, the latest. And today is the friendship bridge between Laotian and Thailand is the Mekong River. So we're right back after this break. You listen to Bridges. I'm your host, Dr. Paul.
All right, we are clear.
Thanks, Al. So Renae, we're you're so spot on about it. I think I've listened to parents recently talk about how I just don't know my child, and I'm not sure if they don't know their child or they want their child to be something that it isn't.
Yeah. I can get into that a little bit more too, for sure.
Oh, I see Fiona. She's singing. She's dancing. As we're off air on camera, all this other stuff. Does she know? Have you talked to her and her strength? And does she know? Does she recognize?
Well, it's interesting because lately she's telling me that she's half animal.
Okay.
And that she has all of these superpowers because she's half animal. So she keeps, I think that she has a sense of it, and anybody who has any kind of understanding and energy meets her and they're like, whoa.
Whoa. Like, whoa. Like, yeah, I'm gonna mention that after the break about how when she came into the office, I was just like, Renae, she's got power. And she was what, not even one.
Yeah, she was little, so she was probably 1, 2, somewhere.
Wait, she wasn't even, she was just walking? She was just walking?
Coming back in 30.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sal.
BMW, MCI, EDS, DreamWorks Animation, the U.S. Navy, and Vanguard Health Systems. To learn more,
Okay, 10 seconds.
Highlighting his tools with videos, leadership keys. Visit
And 5, 4, 3, 2, and we are back.
Welcome back to Bridges. I'm your host, Dr. Paul. We're talking to Dr. Renae Reinardy, and she's a long dear friend. And we were talking about, with her profession and her being a therapist for many years, but she's got a bright child that's, I always say, is a gift of light. I think many children, we can always say children are a gift of many things. But we have to listen to their language. And their language is not so much what we want them to speak, but what they are speaking. And today is the friendship bridge. It's between Thailand and Laos. And it's the Mekong River. And remember, today's human rights charter is the freedom to move. I always like to associate many things with our show because our show does more than it does more than just conversation, and conversations are very important. But hopefully it's to get your understanding to your knowledge to an action. So, Miss Renae, we were talking about Fiona, your young daughter. I remember when I first met her, she had just started walking. I mean, I've known her, I remember when you were pregnant, even having her, and then when she first came into the office, and I said, Renae, she's got power around her. And you were like, really? And I was like, yeah, she's got strength. So go ahead, continue about being that mom for Miss Fiona, being who she is and how you can guide her. And how you are guiding her, really.
Well, yeah. Well, I think she's guiding me in a lot of ways. she's so independent and so strong-minded, which I love about her. But it is something that a lot of parents, you get pulled back, right? You get the looks at the grocery store. I have this child that really, she goes up to people and right away approaches them and welcomes them and wants to know about she introduces herself and she'll say, "Hi, my name is Fiona and I'm 6 and 11, 12. And I live here and I do this and this." Like instantly if they're standing in the grocery line or wherever we are at the airport. And so in a lot of times, and for me, I'm so used to it now, but I realize just how taken aback people are by this openness that she has with her ability to love and ability to share. And it's something that she's always had. She is incredible curiosity. Every morning she wakes up at about 3 o'clock, no surprise, and has a question. There's not a yawn, there's not a "Hey, Mom." It's a question that comes out of her mouth, like, what is the smallest dinosaur? Or what's the strongest bone in the human body? Or these are some recent ones. So just seeing all of this energy, there's this tendency to want to pull that back and to conform and to control her or have her be something that she totally isn't. And I remember early on, I would dress her in certain ways and do certain things. I'd put her in a dress and she'd be like, "No, I don't want to wear a dress." And the only way I could get her to do it is to say it's a long shirt with pants on underneath it. And then I finally realized, you know what? I'm going to let her be her.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
to school, sometimes she wears her own kind of, whatever she puts together, for that day. She has to wear a uniform, but it's something that she comes up with her own style on that. She likes to stand out. She likes to be different. She has these big glasses that she wears, and it's great. It's interesting to see how other people kind of approach that. Again, those differences.
So Miss Renae, let me ask you this. So in your practice with working with many types of people, whether it be children or adults, have you approached your practice differently after Fiona?
Well, I think it's kind of gone both ways. Whenever I worked with kids that come to me, I always look at what the function of their anxiety. Anxiety oftentimes is a survival mechanism.
Yes.
That's just gone a little haywire. So we talk about that, and we talk about their superhero powers that they have, and they just have to learn how to use them. Superman didn't learn how to fly on day one, right?
That's right.
And kids have these powerful nervous systems. My job is to be their flying coach, or these Ferrari nervous systems that just need a little few extra driving lessons, right? And I think that's the important thing, and I've always taken that approach in working with kids over the last 20 years. And then when I got my own supercharged Ferrari, I had to remind myself of that. So is to remind myself that, she is going to, go off course for what I think she needs to be. But if I follow her off of this road that I think we should be going on and see where she takes me instead, it's led to some pretty amazing places. So I try to encourage the parents that I work with to think in the same type of mindset. So that doesn't mean necessarily let your child do whatever they want either. There's got to be some parameters. But to also have the courage to let them be a little bit different, to let them kind of find their own path.
Because it is okay.
Shine their own light, whatever that looks like.
Now, you've been practicing meditation, Qigong, Tai Chi for a long time, and you've been following the way for a long time. With your practice, with your daughter, with your husband, with your life, how does that all sync together? Because I think so many people, they find their little space and time and they do their practice. And I've constantly said practice the living practice. And it takes a practice.
Right.
And there's times where you can have your own practice. But don't we have to start putting this into not just a practice, but actually a working piece to being a wife, a mom, a businesswoman? How do you put those pieces together, and how do they fit sometimes? Because not all the times they fit. I get it, because even for me, it doesn't always fit, and I have to pull myself back. I get it.
Well, and when I look at personal development I look at all these different things that I've been through in my life, and I view it like a house. And in building a house, the first thing that we have to do is build a solid foundation.
Right.
And looking at what experiences in my life helped me build that solid foundation. So because when we have that solid foundation, and for me, that took a lot of mixing of different things. So doing my meditation practice, learning what I've learned as a psychologist, having the life experiences that I've had, those were all ingredients in my concrete, things that were just absolutely necessary to build my foundation. And then as we continue to practice those things, as much as we're able to in a structured way. Maybe that puts some framework up and things, but life keeps happening. And life continues to give you more pieces of your house. And every once in a while a big storm comes, right? So it's going to knock some things over. But it's not going to knock out the foundation. And that's if the foundation's strong. And I think that's what we keep, trying to build. And I think that's what daily practice is about. When you can do some of that, build that foundation, take that time, do some learning, then it does make it a lot easier to recognize what you already know in your daily life.
So what about here's the thing, and I'm sure you get it often in your practice, and we'll get to you how people can contact you if they have any more questions. But the tripping and the falling, and am I making the mistake? Like, we try to pull people from those words of mistake and I'm wrong and how do I get it and I don't think I'm doing it always right and what am I supposed to do when this happens and they get flooded with all these emotional that charges them and throws them off track. Before you answer that, Miss Renae, we're gonna take another break here on the BBM Global Network, and I'm your host, Dr. Paul, and you listen to Bridges, and we'll be right back after this break, and we're gonna ask Dr. Renae so she can answer this question. Thank you for listening.
All right, we are clear.
All right.
So I think a lot of times when people trip and fall, they get so bogged down about the tripping and falling that we end up covering the trip and the fall, and that it's okay. Like, let's get back on track, right? So.
Right.
So tell me, what's the update of Fargo? I know it's like 13 below with wind chill, and nothing's changed too much. It's not like there's going to be some type of new age thing that happens in Fargo.
Not anytime real soon, I don't think.
I miss it. It was home for a long time, and I miss you guys, and I miss my friends, and I miss.
Well, you were very much missed, so you left a little hole. But that's why I'm looking forward to our Skype sessions and stuff too. And I've been a little disconnected. I've been traveling so much that Fargo for me is just my house and my office. Essentially.
Well, you and Chad, I have to tell you, when I look at Chad's face and I see how. It's just he's an amazing man. You know that. You've always known that, and I've known that, and how he's come a long way, and the light shines. It's good. It's beautiful.
Yeah, he's definitely getting there. So I was worried for a while, but I think that there's some good things happening for sure.
So
things that help him be happy.
So is 13th going under construction at all? Is it still under construction? Is it?
Not currently. I think it's all done until they figure out they messed something up and have to redo it. But right now it's good.
I keep seeing, that's probably Fiona's blessing that you give her is that you guys are able to travel and you guys go out to California and Palm Springs a lot, and she is just like, oh my goodness, she loves it.
Yeah. She's, I don't know how many flights she's been on, probably 50 or 60 flights already. So she's a good little traveler. I could probably just send her on an airplane all by herself at this point. She'd be fine.
She'd be fine. She could probably fly the plane. She'd be fine.
She's got it. Oh, they'd let her. She gets, talk about her light. People let her do, like, special privileges and stuff, and I'm like, are you sure that's okay? Like, I'm not sure she should be, driving the horse and buggy buggy right now. I don't know if that's a good idea.
She's like, can these things fly? You know?
Did I tell you guys
she
to
gets
come back?
whatever she wants.
No, you didn't. Are we back, Sal?
Well, you should go back now. Okay, ready? In 3, 2, and we are back.
Well, thank you, Sal. We, Dr. Renae and I, we've just been laughing offline on off air for a while, and my engineer is like, "Hey, are you guys ready for the show?" And I'm just like, so sorry. I apologize for everyone who's been on the delay for a long period of time, and I. Actually, I'm not all that sorry. I really am. It's just what it is. The connection that Dr. Renae and I have is special, and friends are special, and that's why today is the Friendship Bridge, and it's over the Mekong River with Thailand and Laos, and the Friendship Bridge means a lot, and it does connect, and I hope Bridges connects you. I hope Bridges helps you find your way from here to there. But we were talking, and I'm going to ask Dr. Renae again about being a mom, being a professional, and guiding a child. And we often feel like we failed when we don't catch things. And sometimes we get bogged down on that, oh no, I didn't do it right, or I should have done it better. And I'm going to ask you 3 questions. 1, as a professional, what's the answer? 1, as a mom, what's the answer? And 1, as a wife, what's the answer?
All right. So looking at, how do we deal with failure? How do we deal with mistakes? So as a professional, treating obsessive compulsive disorder and anxiety disorders, and actually there's going to be some similarities between this, but there will be a few differences, I think. So if I'm honest anyway. So professionally, I think that it's, I coach people in a way to be okay with mistakes, to welcome mistakes, and make them on purpose sometimes. Because when people are kind of have this conditioned existence, this conditioned mind of I have to be perfect, I have to make the right decision. A square is a square, right? That when we're good students, that's what we're taught, right? So that there's a right and a wrong, and that's it. When really that isn't the way it is at all.
Right.
It's something, just like today we're talking about civil rights and stuff too. Our brain, the way that we enter the world is to love and to be open and to have lots of different experiences. And so it's important that we kind of change some of that conditioned, reality that we create for ourselves, is to allow ourselves to be open to mistakes, allow ourselves to learn from these different experiences. And so when I work with people, we intentionally walk through fear. We intentionally do things that make people uncomfortable so that they can realize, oh, okay, I guess I survived that. I got through that. That was an okay experience. So that's what I do professionally. As a mom, I catch myself collecting, right? Like, no, that isn't the right way to do that. Do it this way. But I try to catch myself when I do that, again, because that's what I've been conditioned to believe that my job is as a mom. So I try to switch out of that mindset and to be able to say, you can do it any way that you want. So, it's art, or it's, whatever her project is that she's working on, or, how would you do this math problem? I'm wondering how you got that answer, which my daughter she loves math. She's really, really good at it. So it's really fascinating to see, how her mind works. So when I'm able to step back and get out of that, right, wrong mindset, it's kind of fun to see what she comes up with. And on that note, on her math test, she had like 25 math tests in a row where she had perfect scores. And so I was preparing her for her first failure.
Right,
and
right.
saying, one of these days you're going to get you're going to get a 24 out of 25, or even miss a couple of them, and it's going to be okay. So, because I knew she's sensitive, and when that day came, I was afraid if we hadn't talked about it, she would be so upset and cry in class and have such a hard time. And so we prepared for it. And then when the day came and she got 24 out of 25 on her math test, she came home and she showed it to me, and I was like, I said, how did you do today? She's like, I did fine on it. I got one wrong, but I'm not going to be upset. And I said, that's fantastic.
You're like, yes!
And he's like, you're even more happy about me getting one wrong than when I get them all right. And I said, it's because how you handled how you got that one wrong. So that was my glowing moment as a mom. But that is a hard thing to remind myself of, too, and to prepare her for. Is to not be afraid of failure, but to know that it's going to happen, whatever failure means, right? So it's right, wrong, who knows? So I think that it's really important to try to remember that as a mom.
You
As a
know,
wife.
before you finish on as a wife, you know, we're going on, I think, roughly 50 years, right? Because if people have been listening to some of the segments that Martin Luther King special had because of today celebrating his day, it's been roughly 50 years, and I'm kind of, and you said a word that really always strikes a chord with me, and that's the fear base. Like how we approach the fear, or how are we going to navigate through, around, or in fear. And we'll talk more about that later, but as a wife, how does this work?
Well, and I think as a wife, it has another challenge, right? Because you're dealing with another adult.
Right.
And so it's something you have a different level of expectation. And so that's something, too, that, and both my husband and I had done things our way for a long time. So before we got married, I think Chad was 42 or something when we got married. So he was used to doing things his way. I was used to doing things my way. And so it took a while to break down that right, wrong, and to really have the courage to try new things and to do things differently. And that did mean a lot of walking through fear of like, oh, this is different. Is it okay that we load the dishwasher this way? From anything, from little things to big things.
Yeah.
And being able to have this ability to come to some sort of consensus. And I think that's something that people continue to struggle with today, is being able to not just hide behind a philosophy or something, but to really be true to the situation. And the situation is always going to change. We're going to change. And so it's important to be able to look at that and look at how much fear is a hindrance to being able to be open, to be able to be accepting, to be able to have mistakes, in ourselves, and to tolerate mistakes in other people, and to work together to try to find, a solution that's going to work better.
And I think
maybe that takes 5 more mistakes along the way.
And I think there's the one thing that we forget, that we're very organic. And what I mean by that is that we evolve. We have to evolve. There's an evolution process. We just had the red moon, right? Just the other night. And it was an amazing, powerful moon. I go out and I feel the energy. But we have an evolution or evolving process of growth. And if we don't acknowledge that growth process within us and outside of us, then I think we do get stuck in one place. We're coming right back after this break. You listen to Bridges, and I'm your host, Dr. Paul. You're talking to Miss Dr. Renae Reinardy, and we're talking about the Friendship Bridge. The Friendship Bridge, and also the human rights is the freedom to move, charter number 13. We'll be right back after this break.
All right, we are clear. I feel like I should tell you what happened there.
While others never seem to get any better.
Thanks, Al.
Yeah, I had to do something else, and then you guys were talking, and I forgot that I never said to come back, and then I was confused that I never said it.
Well,
I couldn't tell if you guys were having the conversation about, like, what the show was, or if you were, because I thought maybe you might have went back on your own after the commercial stopped.
Yeah. Hey, wow. I love it. I love the spinning wheel, Sal. I love it.
Register now for this free webinar.
And that was all perfect, since we were talking about mistakes and going with the different things, and to have life without fear, right?
So, Renee, Sal is actually in Long Island.
Oh, okay.
And I am in another part of New York. So we do this remotely. He calls in to me, so we do this as a remote link up, and then so when the caller,
that's so cool.
Yeah, so it's really super cool. So you're hearing Sal yell at me just as he yells at me. So unless he cuts your mic and mutes you, so
We have, I Ashley and Coach Cheryl on the line as well?
Okay, yeah, bring them on. I will bring them on and right after this break.
All right. That is you guys, right?
Yes.
Okay, we got 30 seconds.
Cheryl?
Dr. McLean is also a songwriter and recording artist, and her songs are written
Hello.
Cheryl?
It's me. It's Ashley, guys.
Yeah, we have both of them, I'm pretty sure.
28 years.
Oh, hi, Dr. Hi, guys.
Hello. We're coming back in 10 seconds.
Okay.
All right, and 5, 4, 3, 2, and we are back.
Welcome back to Bridges, and I'm your host, Dr. Paul. And today's show, Bridge, is the Friendship Bridge. And today's Human Rights Charter is the Freedom to Move, Charter number 13. And we're talking with Dr. Renae Reinardy, and we're talking about lots of things. But again, it's about encompassing not just the information that she has as a therapist, as a clinician, but as a mom and a wife and a human being, as a person. And then, of course, Miss Ashley is just now joining us on the line. And then we have Coach Cheryl. Coach Cheryl, have you been listening to the show? Is she there? I wonder if she's there. So anyway, we'll get back to that when Coach Cheryl comes in. But Dr. Renae, we're going to get back into putting all those pieces together in a practice. How can one practice without the subject of the fear, but just that we're got to keep trying and moving forward as a working woman, as a mom, as a wife, and as a woman?
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think, as we continue to develop, as we continue to do things, I think that it helps to have a different type of relationship with fear. So to have this bring it on attitude with it. So not that fear is something that should be avoided, but something that can be expected. And I think that as we build up, that strong foundation like we were talking about, then we feel more ready. We're ready for anything at that point. So that really helps a lot. So we're ready to stand up for our child. We're ready to work with our spouse and not, say, forget it, I can't talk to you right now or ever. We'll say, okay, this is what I'm able to do right now. Let's talk about this. This is difficult, but I know from all the other times that I've stood to fear that it's going to be worth it, that there's something on the other side. I was doing a hike in Maui years ago. It's called Commando. Some of your listeners may know it. And so it's a secret hike. And you swim through lava, tubes, you hike across the or you climb across the treetops. Well, while I was climbing across the treetops, I almost fell. And the final destination of this hike is this beautiful waterfall. And I remember standing there between these branches thinking, what am I doing? I'm about 20 feet up from these rocks. I'm like, I'm going to fall. And I got really caught in fear and in my mind. And I was thinking, I'm going to need a helicopter rescue. What's going to happen here? But then once I caught my fear, and I was like, what am I doing? This isn't helpful. Let me problem solve. Let me figure this out. And so I grabbed the next branch. I've been doing my Jillian Michaels workout. I was throw my leg over, do what I needed to do to get to the other branch. And I did, and it felt fantastic. And I kept going, and I kept climbing, and we finally got to the end, and it was this fantastic waterfall. Had it been an easier hike, I wouldn't have appreciated that waterfall as much. So fear serves that purpose for it. When we can walk through it, when we can experience it and embrace it, feel a little invincible, that's a very powerful thing to have.
Now, I want to introduce you to Miss Ashley. Miss Ashley's on the line, and she is my little young, powerful female out of Houston. Miss Ashley, introduce yourself, and then I know you have a question for even Dr. Renae about you walk through fear. You've taken those challenges yourself.
I have, yes, I have. Hi, guys, it's Ashley Johnson. So happy MLK Day, everybody. I walk through fear every day, every single day. That's what the business actually is about. That's what the movement is. The whole surface and the heart of the company is about walking in fear, because we are the voice of the people. So what people don't want to hear and what people, want to silence us about, that's what we bring back out, mind, body, and soul. So, yeah, I walk in fear every day. as a black woman, period. So that's just off the top. I was born to walk in fear.
Now, Miss Ashley, and specifically as a black woman, as a single mom, and as a business owner, you don't have someone to bounce a lot of stuff off of. So how do you bounce your fear off a wall, and how do you catch it?
Well, I actually, it will be, I actually just bounce mine from through other people, through helping others. I have the gift of love. That's what God, put me here for, is to love and be everybody else's punching bag. I don't mind being everybody else's punching bag, but yes, it sometimes is unhealthy for me, and that's what I've learned, to stop being everybody's punching bag. So I kind of like, instead of, being a punching bag, I challenge it to helping you. And yes, you're hurting me, but I'm not going to just cut you out of my life completely. Let me try to help you get to that. But sometimes it doesn't work, and it's I just challenge to just get helping others and doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Now, Dr. Renae, you can hear that sometimes we have a hard time taking care of ourselves, right? And those are those things like that. Many of you women specifically, have a hard time taking care of yourself. What's some of those tips that we can give, or you can give, that to say, hey, I need to take care of myself first so I can be the most powerful person I can be?
Well, and I think Miss Ashley really, really highlighted it too, is to live a life with compassion. And that is great, and a lot comes from that. So, but it's getting to that point, and as she was alluding to, of being able to find that balance between compassion and wisdom. So, is to give, but also make sure that we got some fuel left in our tank for sure. And there's certain practices that can be helpful in order to do that. So, as a psychologist, as a mom, as a wife, as a community member, as a woman, it's something that I have to look at my own self-care practices. So looking at powerful tools like meditation and Qigong. I remember I called you, Paul, one time on like an emergency because I'd had a really tough day of 2 clients that had it was life or death situation.
I remember.
And I gave it everything. I gave it everything, to the point where I was drained. So that's when I had to reach out and to other people, which happened to be you that day, to be able to give me some skills and some strategies to build myself up, to clear it, so that I could go out and build myself and take care of my community and my clients and my family as well.
We'll be right back. We're going to talk.
Right.
We're going to take a little break, a hard break right here. We come talk right back about asking for help. You listen to Bridges, and I'm your host, Dr. Paul, on the BBM Global Network. We'll be right back.
All right, we are clear.
And I think
he hit it on the knob, beautiful queen, on the knob.
Right. And I know Ashley reaches out to me, and I reach out to her, and you're right, Miss Renae. I think women are easier to help reach out, but men fall so short. They fall so short, and I try to like scratch the surface where men be like. It's almost like if I can scratch a little itch, and men be like, hey, I need to get to that. But men just don't do it. Men just don't have a hard time asking for help. It's horrible.
Yeah. Well, and that's when it comes out sideways, right? So, and that's when it comes out as defensiveness and aggressiveness and short-sightedness. For anybody. So, but especially when people can't reach out for help. Or see a situation for the way it actually is.
Yeah.
They're such denial. They just deny. They will fake it till they make it, until they kill themselves. And that's what we have to be as the people to understand where people are coming from and understand their problems without judging them. So they will be able to say, hey, I need some help. I'm hurting. Yeah, I'm not okay. And then as a community, we can help you on whatever instead of judging. Oh, Lord, he did a lost job. He's not a real man. He's taking care of his family.
Coaching, belief shifting, Visit your office at any
Hey, this is Coach Cheryl.
Hey, Coach Cheryl.
Hi, Coach.
7:49.
How are you guys?
Good.
Hi.
We got 10 seconds.
All right, we're coming back.
Find your happiness.
And 5, 4, 3, 2, and we are back.
Welcome back to Bridges, and I am your host, Dr. Paul. But I tell you, we're having a party here, and welcome to the party of Bridges, and it's the Friendship Bridge. And Coach Cheryl is back. She's back with us, and I know she's doing, and that's one of those things we were talking about before, Miss Renae and Ashley, is that being a mother, being a parent, and doing a business, and Coach Cheryl is right there in the mix, single mom, handling her business, helping others, reaching out, those people who need help, and she's there, and then yet she's still got to take care of herself. She's still got to fuel herself. So, Coach Cheryl, how do you take care of yourself and fuel your power? Because you're a Wonder Woman too.
Oh, Wonder Woman, that's so funny. Hey, everybody, how are you? Happy Monday and happy MLK Day. Even though his birthday was on Friday, right?
It was on Friday.
Yeah, it was Friday. I mean, just in terms of overall self, care, the key is really being aware of your thoughts and protecting your energy. I recently came across an article, and they were talking about the fundamental part of protecting your personal energy and protecting your thoughts and focusing your thoughts so that you only are drawing into your life what you think about the most. So you're only drawing into your life what is going to serve you. And whenever you see yourself falling into that spot where you're thinking about something that you don't want to think about, just kind of like wrap a rubber band around your hand or like a little string that has like an elastic and just pull it so that it pinches your skin a little bit and kind of wakes you up and kind of shakes you up a little bit so you can kind of stop the thought in its tracks and redirect your focus to something that is serving you. And so that's basically what I do continuously all day, 1,000 times a day.
Dr. Renae, before we only got a couple more seconds to go. So you hear Coach Cheryl talking about how she triggers herself, and Miss Ashley, how she responded to you and said, "Beautiful queen." These positive influence that we keep around us, don't we lose sight of that asking for help? Is that a possible thing that we need to recognize ourselves about?
I think it's so important to be able to look at that, and when we're feeling tired, and sometimes people don't even know, they're so out of touch with their emotions that it comes out in physical manifestations, that they're sick, there's other things going on in their life, and that it sometimes takes some of those things to be able to step back and be like, whoa, wait a second, hey, I'm not okay. There's something going on here. That's a lot of people, because we're so externally focused that it's hard for a lot of people to realize, this is actually what's going on in my mind right now. This is actually what's going on in my body right now, or this is a productive thought, or this isn't a productive thought. What's the emotion that I feel right now? Can I handle this on my own? Can I reach out for help? To break the concept that it's not okay to ask for help. And I think that's a really important thing to be able to do, and to find good people. If you talk to somebody and then if they don't have the answers for you, talk to somebody else. So to keep trying, because it may not be path A. It may be path X before you find what you need. But to keep trying that until it happens, because it will. And I think that's such an important thing. And it may not be one thing. It may be it usually is multiple things that work for people. And so that's where it's good to really look at filling up your toolkit, to look at the strategies that you need, whether that's particular coaching strategies, cognitive behavioral strategies, meditation strategies, nutritional changes. I mean, there's so many things that we can do to build a strong house, right? And so to build this strong foundation, to be the person that we are, just our true nature, but we lose it.
I'm going to leave it up to
Really
you.
side of it.
You know, I know you have a very extensive practice, and if people want to contact you, I will just guide them your way, unless you want to give out your information. Because I know, you, like I said, you travel, you teach, you lecture, and your practice is so very extensive. So if you want to give out that contact information, you can, Dr. Renae. It's up to you. What do you want to do?
Yeah, sure. I can give you my website. It's lakesidecenter.org, and it has the ways to contact me and a little bit more about my practice here, and that would be the best way for people to reach me.
Absolutely, thank you. And then we didn't get a chance to talk about Courage Critters, and that was something that you developed. And let's talk about that real quick before we get to the break.
Yeah, you bet. So Courage Critters is a plush animal, which Dr. Paul, you have one.
Yes.
So, and it's an online program. So it's this cute little tough-looking critter with compassionate eyes, because he's got to be able to stand up to fears, because he's a courage critter that children and some adults have. So, and it's kind of that transitional object. We all need a little buddy, a little wingman to help us go through some life situations. So that's what the physical courage critter is for. There is an online program, couragecritters.com, that offers some good strategies for people. So when people get their courage critter, he comes with a little password that helps to access other areas of the website to continue this journey. So, and I donate a lot of courage critters as well. So to kids in hospitals and kids going through really tough times, and kids have been taken out of their homes and things like that as well. So it's and I've had really, he also has his own Facebook page. So, Courage Critters. So it's something that it's been a lot of fun to develop. And honestly, if I never sell another one in my entire life, mission's already been accomplished.
Yeah.
Like it's been great to see the impact that this little plush animal has had on the lives of children going through a number of different tough situations. So it's really been an honor to develop that. I designed it myself. I did everything but sew it.
Yeah, you sure
I
did.
can't do that. But it's been really fun to watch that development happen as well.
Thanks, Dr. Renae, and we would love to have you come back on Bridges another time. But thank you so much, and give your family a hug and please.
Will do. Same to yours. Take care, Dr. Paul. Bye-bye.
So we're going to take another break here, and we're going to come back. And I got a question for Miss Ashley and Coach Cheryl. So it's a specific question about today. So join us back here on Bridges on the BBM Global Network. You can always give us a call here at 877-475-8570 if you want to just chime in on our conversation. We're right back after this break.
All right, we are clear.
All right, and I'm still here. I just wanted to say goodbye to everybody, and thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Bye, beautiful. You are awesome. You are awesome. Dr. Paul, I have to get with her, please. Because she's great. I would love to have her in the magazine.
Well, I think that you are awesome as well. So have a wonderful evening, and I'm happy to talk to anyone anytime.
So Renae, I'm gonna shoot you, Miss Ashley, because Miss Ashley has a magazine called Just Be You magazine, and she publishes herself, and it's an amazing magazine.
Wow.
And
I'd love to see it.
Well, she's gonna have you actually write on it about maybe you put your courage critter in there. Yeah, I know what she's thinking. She's so sneaky.
Yes, let's go team, go.
Hey, any way I can help, I'm happy to do it. So definitely contact me, and we'll figure it out.
Perfect.
Thanks, Renae. Give Chad a hug for me, please.
All right. Sounds good. Will do. Take good care. Bye-bye. Oh, and that new grandbaby, so cute.
Thank you.
We'll talk soon, though, Paul. All right. Bye-bye.
He is adorable.
You know, it's most people don't understand. You know, when I'm showing pictures of my grandbaby and stuff, is that men can nurture, and I hope some men pick that up. That hey, they can nurture too.
Yes, you're doing an amazing job, because it gives me life to see you and your baby, and that's what helps to keep me motivated to have time. I swear, because You have, and it's such good energy.
Ashley, hold.
I needed this.
3, 2, and we are back.
Welcome back to Bridges. I'm your host, Dr. Paul, and you were just listening to Dr. Renae Reinardy, and she is just a beautiful. You know, I always have beautiful people on the show, and that's just because of that connection we have about humanity and life. And it's about the practice, it's about the giving, and it seems like it's a constant resounding of the same things over and over. But I don't know, people, if you hear from a different voice, it comes across differently. Coach Cheryl, you're there, right? Miss Ashley, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so the question I have for today, it's about Martin Luther King. Now, I'm going to pause on that because Martin Luther King comes across as a male of compassion. But they never really talk about his wife and how she held him up in everything he did. And in his memoirs, he talks about his wife a lot. Now, do you feel like that gets missed in when we reflect on Martin Luther King? How the women, because we don't have a Women's Day of, there's been many powerful women in our history, and we don't have a Women's Day. That to me bothers me. My question is does it bother you?
Yes. I'll let go. Actually, you go first. Go ahead. It's kind of like, you know, people have in their minds about, you know, who is supposed to do what. I think that, you know, through the years, she has definitely been represented as, you know, his backbone, his strength. You know, it's kind of like I am the woman who will invent the strength to nurture you, you know, that kind of thing. And so, you know, I think that everything is more so about time, with the recognition. Even now, you know, there are many other Black heroes who go and recognize their families, go and recognize who fought for civil liberty and justice and fairness. I just think it's, you know, more so about what people are ready to perceive in terms of, you know, information. You know, that's the most that I can say about that.
What, Miss Ashley?
That's true, but I'm more so yes, I'm upset. It makes me very upset. I believe that every great leader, wife should be recognized, because at the end of the day, that wife has to deal with not only the political side and her husband's duty and side what he's doing, but also the personal stuff that he's going through too, and that she has to deal with on a daily basis. As you know, as far as, you know, picking him up to even get him to the journey that he's supposed to be leading, get him through anything, get him, you know, his bad times when he's going through it behind stuff that's going on outside the home, and he's bringing in the home. She deals with a lot. Every single great leader has.
The question came up. The question came up to me not just much today, but I was talking to when we were talking with Dr. Renae, and how her husband is a businessman, and yes, she has her own practice, and yes, she's an amazing woman and mother, but she still has to hold him up to what he does also. And so I was thinking about that question. It's like, I don't think we ever give enough credence or enough, because I, as a man, I need that partner to say, I got you. I do. There's
Exactly. You need that nurture. You need that nurture from that partner to say, I got you regardless. And see, the thing is, we'll give it to you all day. But at the same time, sometimes we don't get it back.
You don't get it back. Right.
But, you know, that is right. We don't. So,
And that's why Miss Coach Cheryl, when Miss Ashley says kings and queens, you know, I believe in the king and the queen, but I tell you, we often miss the queen a lot.
30 seconds.
a lot. And the queen is the one that's holding down the whole kingdom. They don't even realize the king doesn't, and the maidens don't even make it. Come on, it's all about the queen.
We're gonna take a little break here. We're gonna take a break here from Bridges, and we'll come right back.
No, that's the end.
Okay.
This is the last.
Oh shoot! And that was it. So.
Yeah.
No.
Are we done,
So
Sal?
you just want to give the wrap up?
Yep.
Okay.
Shoot. I'd like to thank everyone for listening to Bridges. And hold on. Let me wrap this up. Sal?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you for everyone listening to Bridges. I'm your host, Dr. Paul. And we just ran over a little bit, but I just want to let you know there's so much more to talk about. There's so much more to do. We have a place in the society, and together, if you're going to get anything from the show, the Friendship Bridge, that we need to pull ourselves together. Thank you, God bless, and have a great day.
All right, we
Miss Ashley, I'm going to call you on Skype again. Let's hope you answer.
Okay, please do. I am. I promise you, I've been waiting on you.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks, Sal.